Hi guys, welcome to K9TV Episode 14. I have the paparazzi taking photos of me off to the side there, which is pretty cool. Guys, whilst I'm waiting for all of you guys to start joining me tonight, we're running a bit of a competition. So just depending on how interactive you guys are using those little emoticons that there are, keep looking down because there's a little melon wire at my feet here, soliciting a bit of a butt scratch, and I'm worried she's going to hit the tripod. Papa, come here. Come here. Yep. Good girl. Here you go. My co-host for this evening is Zia. So tonight we're going to talk about priorities in training, and the reason that I thought that this topic would resonate with some of you guys is I was working with a look at all the love and the thumbs up, guys. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for saying hello. So yeah, I thought I'd talk about priorities in training because I was working with an awesome dog a couple of weeks back, and one of the things that the owners said as we were working together, I turned around and I said, you know, this will be the next K9TV episode, all on priorities in regards to training and things like that. So for those of you that are tuning in, thank you very much. I can see you all joining us. We should have a few people joining us from Tassie this time around. If you didn't hear me just before, that would be a Malinois that just bumped the tripod. But I have a little co-host floating around, a Belgian Malinois Zia. Guys, as I said, we are running a bit of a competition, so more interactive and more interest questions, all of that type of thing that you put up today, you can go into the opportunity of winning a half-hour coaching session, so which would be really cool. Guys, moving on, and we'll jump straight into it. So I was working with a blue heeler called Billy, and Billy, unfortunately, through no fault of his owners, unfortunately has developed some aggressive behaviours, not only toward other dogs, but towards people also. See ya? You're distracting. Up. Quick. Never work with animals or children, they say, right? Definitely not a Malinois. So I was working with Billy, and I've been working with him for a couple of sessions. He has been muzzled and muzzle trained and quite enjoys wearing his muzzle. And this was the first time that we all felt comfortable, and I was happy to have his muzzle off whilst I was handling him. And this is the first time that it happened. And he was working really, really well. Nice loose lead walking. He was engaging nicely. His confidence level were coming up, which is everything that we'd spent all that time working on. Then as I turned around and was walking him back to his owner, he pulled on the lead a little bit. And I can appreciate why, because he was certainly under an element of stress in the sense that he hadn't been put in that situation for quite a while. And I let him pull back to his owner. It was only a few meters. And his handler said, or his owner said, "Oh, that's not very good, Billy. You know, why is he pulling on the lead?" And I said, let's look at the priorities here. This is the first time in quite a long time, a number of years, that he's actually been handled by somebody else. He's enjoying the interaction because he was taking food, he was having fun, following obedience. It was a very light-hearted training session. Only went for, 60 seconds. And he had such success in it. And I turned around and I said to Billy's mum, I said, we just need to chill out a little bit and focus on what our priorities are in regards to this training session. I don't care if he's pulling on the lead a little bit because this is the first time he's had that interaction, and I want to make sure that he's really enjoying it. So that's how, as the Malinois walks onto the tripod, that's how this came about. So I don't know whether that kind of scenario resonates with you, but we always want to have a look at the exact point and what is it that we're focusing on in and around that training session. So no doubt Billy's mum will be joining in at some point shortly, and being able to watch this and enjoy. Guys, one of the other areas that we always talk about priorities in dog training is very much in and around the recall. And I'm sure there'll be some people that will understand this when we talk about most people want their dogs to come back to them. And the tricky thing with it is they sit there and they say, "Hey, Fluffy, come!" And Fluffy turns around, comes like a bullet, but they don't sit. Now, if we sit there and we have a look at what the priorities are of them and of our training and our dog, one of the things that I quite often, the scenarios that I put forward to my clients is, let's say, for example, let's assume that we have a Jack Russell And a Jack Russell's favorite pastime is very much potentially chasing a rabbit. And let's say, little Jack, very traditional name for a Jack Russell, Jack's chasing a rabbit, going hell for leather. But one of the things that we don't realize is that there's, let's say, a 4-lane highway between Jack and that rabbit. If you yell out, Jack, come, and he turns around, he comes at you like a bull at a gate, that is brilliant. No one could be any happier than that. You've recalled him off a rabbit. You've saved him from getting skittled on the road, and he comes back to you, but then you hold off on rewarding your dog because he didn't sit. And we see this quite often at our dog training sessions where, people come down for the first time and they get their dogs to recall. They recall off some brilliant distractions, but they withhold the reward. It might be pats, a ball, more than often it's food, and they punish the dog because when you withhold food, it falls under the negative punishment factor. So you're punishing the dog for recalling because he didn't sit. So you want to make sure that you become really, really clear on what it is that you want to reward your dog for versus inadvertently, accidentally punish them. From your dog's point of view, he'd be like, hey, Mum, I just recalled off a rabbit for you. And then now you're not going to reward me because I forgot to put my butt on the ground. So there's a whole lot of chaining of behaviors here that we can certainly look at and help you anytime you come down to training. Or if you're interstate, there's some wicked trainers around, so always reach out, find some good trainers that are around to help you. But it's always about rewarding the number one priority that you have in that training session at that point. So that's probably one of the bigger ones that we quite often see with pet owners in regards to calling their dogs back and unfortunately not reinforcing them the moment the dog makes that split decision to come back to you opposed to chasing the rabbit. I've written down some of the things here that people quite often ask me, and one is in regards to the fetch. So a lot of people, they get a pet dog and they want to play a bit of fetch with them, and they say, awesome, I throw the ball out, and then the dog, buggers off and never brings the ball back, or the dog will bring the ball back and then play that little hide and seek game and, the ropey dopey and go, yep, you're not going to be able to catch me. And a lot of the time is because the priority, particularly from the dog's point of view, has been the fun is in chasing and acquiring, which means hanging on to the toy, but no training has ever been thought about or worked on in the sense of getting your dog to give the toy back and understanding that there's a bit of an exchange process that happens here. So always sit there and have a look at what your priority is. If your priority is for your dog just to chase the ball, awesome, keep throwing the balls. Okay, but if you want your dog to understand that there is value in giving you the ball back, that might be a priority. Hi, sorry about that. Hopefully if I can get some thumbs up and let me know that you're back, that would be really cool. I'm not sure what happened there with our Wi-Fi connection. I just give it a second and wait for you guys. It says I've still got you with me. Just waiting for a little bit of feedback, making sure that you guys are still there. Ali, I can see that you've written in a question here. Do I change the environment so you can focus on the end picture of the recall? So hey, thank you for letting me know you guys are there. That's awesome. So don't have distractions while training the recall, so you focus on the sit at the end. Ali, that's a great question. That refers to a lot of the elements of training and also some of the chaining of behaviors. What I really like to do with the recall, we're going off a little bit of priorities, but when it comes to teaching the recall, there are multiple facets of it. So there's the end position, which is teaching your dog the exact end picture. So in front and sitting as a very brief example. You've also got the fact that you need your dog, when he's distracted, to instantaneously turn and look at you and commit to coming back. That's another element of the recall. Then there's the, if you would, the third element of a recall, which is actually getting your dog to commit and continue coming forward. And as I said, end picture, having them sit in front of you. So all of those different sections. Hi Lisa, thanks for the feedback there. All of those facets of a recall need to be looked at separately, and then you merge them all together, and then you should have a really bomb-proof, good little recall going on. Rachel, I can just see your comment saying that it's frozen. Hopefully you've got it back. That may have been a delayed comment. Adam, hello my friend. Thank you for commenting. I'm just going through here and seeing what comments I've missed. Bear with me 1 second. Hey Lyndall. Hi Ree. Rachel's here. Beautiful photos. Oh yes, whilst I'm just waiting for everyone to jump back on. Where are we here? This here is my boy Zuka, as is this one here. This artwork here is by the very talented Rachel Doles from Unleashed Artistry. This photo here was taken by a friend of ours, Nick, at the Yarra River in Melbourne, and it was given to me as a birthday gift by my awesome husband, and I love it. And these beautiful ones here, we have these made every time. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to one of our dogs. So my first Rottweiler, Sammy, and my second Rottweiler, Tank, and hang on, I'll give it a wiggle wiggle, not that you can see. But over on the far side, we have Zia. Again, Rachel Doles from Unleashed Artistry. And there's a picture artwork there of Otto, or as we call him, Uh-oh, because that's the kind of dog he was. Let me have a look here. Hey, Amy. Yes, one Malinois against the Roddies. Hi, Sharonica. Just bear with me. Okay, I think we're back and ready to rock and roll. We've just gone through the recall. So the priorities in teaching the recalls, we want to make sure that we're not inadvertently punishing our dogs for coming back because maybe they didn't sit. Punishment's one of those words, guys. It can be a bit of a razor blade to swallow for some people. That's because we are conditioned to perhaps what we perceive punishment is. So I just want to clarify that with some of you now. When we talk about punishment for a dog, we are literally going by the scientific term. We are not talking about being inhumane, horrible, nasty, or any of that rubbish that does not belong here whatsoever. What we talk about is a punishment is purely something that the dog doesn't want. So if your dog comes back to you and you hold the food, you withdraw the food so he doesn't get the opportunity to get it, that's technically punishment. So one of the very kind of loose examples I will give, if you're, oh, and I'm back. Guys, this is crazy. Hi, Eva. Thank you for joining in. Hopefully we're still here. We are trying desperately. We don't normally gone through aggression issues as well, that the priorities were his beautiful behavior, not the fact that he made a small little mistake, dare you even call it that, for pulling on the lead. And the other one that I wanted to have a quick little talk about, and I think I just started touching on it before the video started freezing, was in regards to playing fetch with our dogs. So a lot of people will sit there and say, my dog won't bring the ball back, or he'll bring it back, but he won't actually give it to me. These are all different little elements that you might want to look at, different priorities. Guys, thanks for the love heart, thumbs up, letting me know that you're back, which is really cool. Hi, Sasha. Hi, Nicole. Oop, there goes a Malinois. This is one of those classic episodes, never work with animals. So when we're talking about teaching our dogs to, play fetch, now there's quite a few components with that. First of all, your dog would want to be able to play with the ball, would have to enjoy playing with the ball, running out, getting the ball, bringing it back, and then the massive key to it is actually getting the ball back off your dog so the game can repeat itself. So what we want to be able to do is have a look at what the priorities are in that order, and if you're struggling with one particular area with your dog, maybe that's where your priority needs to be. Many people struggle with the fact that their dogs just won't give the ball back, and if you have a look at that objective, if you would, from the point of view of the dog, a lot of the times it may be that them thinking that giving you the ball back may, to them, seem like it's the end of the game, or it may very well be that they prefer you chasing them around so you look like the monkey, and they like that game of chase. Just on a side note, we very often, and you can hear us say to our clients, you always want your dogs to chase you, not for you to chase your dogs, in the context that if you start chasing your dogs around, that's a bloody fun game for your dog. The next thing you know, your gate is going to be open, your dog's out on the street, running off, and your dog will look back as you're calling them, and they'll say, hey, how you doing? You can come chase me. Or other people might say they just flip you the bird and keep going. So you always want to have your dog come back to you and think that you're the coolest thing in the world. So when you're playing fetch and things like that, if you're struggling with your dog giving your ball back, what you want to have a look at is perhaps teaching your dog to give. That might be an exchange, a ball for a ball, so they don't ever feel that they're losing out. Okay, so the dog might have one ball, you can have the other, and literally just playing swaps, you know, a swap game with it as well. So guys, they're the things that I wanted to touch on today. Just having a look here at some of the comments. The Mel wants mum to play. Yes, that would be Zia. My ever so handsome Zuka's always been perfect. Hey Vic, nice to see you. Eva, I'm so uncool. Nick, that's not good. We better help you on that one. Let me know how we can help you with your cool factor and bring it right up. If you haven't heard me refer to your cool factor, that's from your dog's point of view. Does he think you're the coolest thing in the world? Will he choose you over everything else? Will he always happily give you the ball? Will he come back to you? Will he do whatever it takes just to hang out with you because you are simply the coolest thing around? Ellie, would you say that it's a bit of bribery using another ball? Brilliant question. I get asked that quite often, particularly if I'm teaching the give, or as I call it, the out early on. Is it bribing? No, because you're teaching. If you're teaching your dog a value exchange, that's what's expected, okay? Once you have, the dog has acquired the knowledge and the skill set, so you've taught it and you know it's a conditioned response, which means the dog automatically will out or give the ball, that's when you can wean off another ball or the food. So basically it becomes a commanded response. You ask your dog to give, the dog gives, which buys you the time anyway to pick it up and throw it back. I quite often talk about dogs being very good at the stock exchange. They know exactly how to you know, work the stock market. And if you become very stingy in your trading agreement, they're going to withdraw and they're not going to play games with you at all. But if you can teach them to start off with, using another ball, using food, using equal or higher value exchange, that's how they learn to play the stock market. Then once they've got it, they'll sit there and they'll more than happily play. And of course, then there's that leeway in there that they'll go, okay, sometimes you lose it, which might be the end of the game of fetch because you've been playing flat out. So you put the ball away and they're going to be happy because they know the next time that they come out, there's going to probably be hypothetically another 50 balls thrown before it's the end of the game. So hopefully that one's answered that question for you, Ali. So just to clarify as well, bribing is when you have the presentation of the food, so a presentation of a reward prior to your dog displaying the behavior when the dog understands and has acquired knowledge of what's expected of them. Okay, so we want a reward for behavior, not bribe, but during the teaching phase, that's okay because it's teaching the dog what's expected of them. Let's have a look here. This is just reiterating what Glenn taught us this weekend at NDTF. Glenn Cook, he is a good egg. Rachel, I'm sure that Brent will fill me in if he had the opportunity to meet you. I believe you had Mr. Brentos as well. Glenn is... he was certainly one of my mentors when I was doing the course, and he still looks fabulous being 21. He's a good egg. If you don't know who Glenn is, he is at Pet Resorts in Dural and takes the NDTF students the same as what we do down in Melbourne. Uh-oh, Kirsten, she's uncool too. Well, we can change that. Eva, hello, my lovely. It's been a long time. Feeling very cool after that explanation. Hi, Jackie. Love all my analogies. I'm a little bit of an analogy queen, aren't I? I think they certainly help with learning when you can have something explained to you in the way that we would think on an everyday basis. Ellie, awesome. Thanks a billion. Rachel, your man is too. Yes, he is a good egg. He's a good egg. Guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to kind of cover off today when it comes to priorities. So have a think about what your priorities were when it comes to training your dog. Is a recall of a higher priority than having your dog sit in front of you? For me, personally, absolutely. Anytime I call my dog, I want him to come back to me. I want him to be happy and think that it's the most fabulous thing in the world. And then from there, we can always teach the sit to come in later. But a recall is so much more important, in my opinion, than having my dog sit in front. So make sure you're not inadvertently punishing your dog. If you're playing fetch, make sure that you've had a look at all the elements and you certainly help your dog and support them through there. And again, when it comes to gorgeous Billy that I was working with, because had a few sessions, I should say, and he went really, really well. He was off his muzzle for the first time, walking beautifully with me, doing some very simple and basic commands. Then when we turned around and we went back to his owner, he pulled on the lead a little bit. Priorities, guys. He didn't eat me. That's always a bonus. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have another good little topic coming up on K9TV as well. I'm trying very hard to get it to you next week. We've been under the pump. We've been down in Tassie. So hello to my awesome Tassie people down there at Garsover Kennels. Really nice to see you guys all interacting with us this evening. We shall announce the winner for our 30-minute coaching call within the next 48 hours, once we've had time to go back and have a look at all of your love hearts, your thumbs up, and your engagement. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Thank you for my sidekick, Superhero Zia, who's now off, finally being quiet. Love you guys. Thanks, Rachel. Speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.